There's a weird pattern I've been observing as I get older. Some genres that I used to love I don't engage with anymore, and some games I go back to are not as fun as I remember them to be. There's certainly a correlation between the passage of time and our taste in gaming and media overall. The Batman Arkham games use time as a main feature. It might not be obvious at first glance, but the impact is felt even if most people don't even realize why. When fighting, time will dilate right before impact to exacerbate the brutality of combat. Games and media overall use time as a tool to add impact. Time is relative. Einstein affirmed this in the context of physics, but I think that affirmative transcends its initial implications. Our brains are constantly dilating time to exacerbate our feelings. Whether it's boredom or ecstasy, we are wired to manipulate our perception of time as a survivability instinct. Our perception of time will change. A second can feel like an eternity and also like not enough time. As physics dictates, time will vary in relation to speed, but as much as we go through time, time goes through us. When you lose a fight in Sifu, you get older. It affects the stats of your character. As you age, you deal more damage, but you also take more damage, referencing the fragility of age and the wisdom that comes along with it. As we experience game after game, our tastes become more refined, we expect increasingly more, our preferences will change as we mature. Getting older, we get progressively less time to play games, making those fewer moments more valuable. I remember a time when I could pull in an all-nighter playing Call of Duty Zombies with my friends, and that's just not a reality anymore. It happens to everyone. If our own time is limited, time together is even more so. If I try to play zombies now, it just feels empty. Baldurs Gate 3 is a turn-based RPG, and as such, time is dictated by turns. In these games, time is variable by definition and defined by the actions you take, and you have a limit of actions per turn. In Time is a movie about, well, time. Bear with me, it's still about Baldur's Gate. In the movie, time is a currency. In the literal sense, poor people don't live past 25 and rich people have millions of years stored in a vault. Bets are made with years of life on the line and time spent to buy things. In Baldur's Gate, even if time is standing still, you have to choose how you intend on spending it. Time is your currency, exemplified by the action points you have to spend efficiently to be able to win the fight. Time also plays a major role in the story of the game. There will be no spoilers beyond the first 5 minutes of the game. At the beginning of the game, you are implanted with a parasite that will turn you into an evil creature. Most people would turn in the first 3 days, but for some reason, you don't. Eventually, after fighting, you'll need to go to your camp and rest to regain your life and magic points. But doing so will spend time you may not have. You live in borrowed time. You can also take 2 short rests per day that won't advance time and will partially regain some of your abilities and health points back. Your main objective is to find a way to save yourself from the parasite in your brain, a ticking time bomb that you don't know when or if it will eventually blow up. It creates a sense of urgency that is enhanced by the features of the game. We are incentivized to take these long rests at camp to regain our strength. But if time isn't an issue, why do we have these short rests? Is there a reason beyond convenience? Is there a possibility that we might fail to save ourselves if we waste too much time? Don't get me wrong, it probably doesn't affect the story. I'm still playing the game, so I'm probably giving it too much credit. But it creates a subconscious sense of urgency that you don't see in most games. The Witcher is one of my favorite games, and for all its strengths, one thing I can say for sure is that it never manages to feel urgent. It's a problem in a lot of RPGs actually, even if it doesn't bother me that much. You have this immediate, crucial objective that takes priority, but we are drawn to the great side content, making it so the main objective never feels as urgent as the game tells you it is. In Baldur's Gate, most of the side content seems to be involved with the main objective, but even when it isn't, it seems important. What saving a child has to do with your main objective of removing a parasite from your brain? Well, nothing, but you are ultimately fighting to keep your humanity, or elvishness in my case, I think. And for that goal, saving that child is the most important thing, even if we sacrifice time for it. Time seems like the main enemy, but if we can just ignore that child who needs help because we need to save time, haven't we already made the change? We end up increasing the difficulty of the game by taking fewer long rests in the hopes of preventing time to pass. Isn't that what we always do? We try to resist time, resist change, because change is scary. Time can be scary. But as much as we try to resist it, change will still take place, one way or another. The best we can do is to steer it in the right direction, adapt and spend the time the best way we can. I used to love playing games like Destiny with friends, and we had a lot of great times together, but now playing the game feels like chasing ghosts, remnants of the good times we used to have, desperately trying to respark a flame that's already gone. It feels frustrating because there's a general feeling that I should be having fun, but I'm not. I have changed. I don't appreciate the grind-focused gameplay loop. As an adult, it feels like work. The reward doesn't seem worth it. It feels like it doesn't value my time I don't have as much of anymore. But change isn't always bad. Baldur's Gate 3 is a testament to that. I never thought I would like strategy RPGs, but I'm addicted to Baldur's Gate 3, and after I finish it, I can't wait to try other games of the genre I've been missing. I am more open to different genres of games. I have experienced enough games and media that I'm able to appreciate the deep layer some of them provide. I have changed. In 12 minutes, your day starts normal enough. Your girlfriend has made you your favorite dessert, and she set up a whole romantic setting. She has news. Your girlfriend is pregnant. As you process the information, a police officer knocks at the door. When she answers it, she's handcuffed and accused of the murder of her father. The cop then asks, where is the pocket watch that belonged to her father, and when she denies the information, he strangles us to get her to reveal the truth. Waking up at the start of the evening comes the realization. We are stuck in a loop. The pocket watch has importance to the narrative, but it's also the way that we can physically track the 12-minute loop. I can't help but to draw some parallels to one of my favorite games that also works in loops. In Outer Wilds, the planet's hourglass twins have the same role as the pocket watch. They are the physical representation of the loop. The time it takes for one planet to fill the other with sand is the exact time it takes for our loop to end. But what I think is funny is how in both games, we believe that we are stuck in a loop as a cosmical path to save ourselves and the ones we care about, but that's not the case. The loop is there as a way to face the truth. Independently if you manage to save yourself or not, the loop only ends by facing the truth. In both games, we are given the option to face it or to keep on living inside the loop, desperately trying to hold on to these few minutes before things change. We all wish we could go back in time, fix things, find a way for things to work out better, but we can't. The way these games deal with the loop conundrum lays an important message about life. When things aren't the way we want them to be, it's easy to deny reality, live in fantasy, immobilized in the present, wishing things were as before. Both games ask the question, will you choose to live in the past or accept change and move on? Time is variable. Interstellar is one of my favorite movies and it displays this brilliantly. Cooper leaves his family to search for a planet that can sustain human life. One of them is Miller's planet. The black hole near Miller's planet causes time to dilate, making it so for every hour they spend on the planet, 7 years pass on Earth. In Cooper's perspective, only hours had passed, but for his daughter, he spent years away from her. He loses his daughter's whole childhood and barely leaves the ship. time can be used as a tool for horror. In Dead Space, there's this enemy called the Hunter. Most of the time in the game, you fight the monsters. It's scary, but you almost always feel in control. Doesn't matter how big the creatures are, you can always beat them. They'll scare you, they'll hurt you, they'll probably traumatize you, but eventually you'll dominate them and feel in control. But if before you were predator, now you are prey. The hunter doesn't die, he's hurt by your weapons, but he regenerates in only a few seconds and lives for the sole purpose of ending your life. Unlike the others, you have no other option but to run. Time comes into play when you are surrounded by enemies, with nowhere to run but a door that you'll need some time to fix. To survive this, you'll need to stall the hunter and kill the other enemies. When only he is left, you'll cut out his limbs and use stasis, a device that slows the movement of the affected entity. You'll turn around and fix the door, knowing full well that the hunter is behind your back, slowly regenerating, trying to get to you as soon as he can, silently contorting and growing with the sole purpose of getting to his prey. The amount of ammunition and stasis you have is the amount of time you can get. The hunter messes with the whole rhythm of the game. Before, you took your time exploring, now you'll sprint ahead in panic. A creature that you don't seem to be able to kill is outside of what you would expect. It's unpredictable and terrifying, but not as terrifying as Cooper's situation. Time dilated. Cooper went through time, but time didn't go through him. His whole life left him behind in only a few days. Cooper's journey can be seen as a cautionary tale to letting our lives pass. His son went through the highest and the lowest of his life. His dad died. His daughter was all grown up. His family needed him and he wasn't there. Time is often associated with sand, mostly because of the imagery of the hourglass, but the metaphor is almost poetic in itself when you stop to think about it. Cooper didn't have a choice, but we do. We get to choose how we spend our time. If we just let it go by, like sand, those big moments might just slip through our fingers. Time is a wonderful tool for impact and emotion. That's why it's a recurring theme in most of Christopher Nolan's movies. It's absolute. We can't reverse it or change the past, but we get to choose how to spend it, just like in Persona 5. In the game, we take on the role of Joker, a high school student who, along with his friends, awakens the power to access the metaphysical representation of the human psyche. When someone has a lot of negative emotions that might lead them to cause harm to others or themselves, they might manifest the palaces we have to go through in the game. The palaces work like dungeons that you have to go through with the objective of cleansing the adult's heart of maleficent intent. The game might seem innocent enough at first glance, but it deals with some pretty heavy themes like abuse and suicide. You can leave the palace at any moment, come back another day and keep fighting from where you left off. You'll actually need to do this to manage your resources, but you're given a deadline to complete the current palace because someone is in danger. If you don't manage to cleanse the palace in time, it's game over. The deadline is generous, but you're still a student. You'll decide how to spend your time on a daily basis. During those weeks, you'll not only need to progress in the palaces, but also attend classes, study and do well on your tests, forge meaningful relationships with your friends. Those activities reward you by making you and your party more powerful. The way Persona deals with time relays an important message about balance. To plan ahead, do the things we must and still be able to spend quality time with our friends, to help them when they need you the most. Besides teaching a whole generation work-life balance, Persona teaches us to enjoy the little things and the times you get to spend with those that matter the most. Some of the best moments in Persona are those little human interactions. Taking your girlfriend to the cinema, your friends to the arcade, understanding their likes and dislikes, what makes them tick, and the emotional baggage they feel comfortable enough to share as you grow closer. I talked about games feeling like work. Papers, Please is a game that is literally about work. I have never felt this level of stress in a game, and it's all derived from how they make use of time. The game was huge on YouTube for a moment. Its gameplay loop was simplistic enough that people could understand a drop midstream not feeling like they lost too much, frustrating enough to make watching your favorite streamers struggle entertaining, and the story surprising enough to be engaging. But besides being a great streamer game, Papers, Please deals with time in a very unique way. You take on the role of a border checkpoint inspector of a fictional totalitarian state. Your job is to check the documents and ultimately allow or deny entrance to the country. Your salary depends on the amount of people you process. You get penalized if you make mistakes. There are a lot of tiny details you have to check, and time goes by fast. At the end of each day, you have to manage your expenses, paying rent, heat, see if you can afford food for your family, if your sick son can get some medicine. The game starts normal enough that you don't immediately feel the weirdness starting to creep in. You're just in another normal day at the checkpoint, until, out of nowhere, your workday is cut short by a terrorist attack. The country's political climate is volatile. People are desperate to get in because of the financial opportunities. The country oppresses its citizens and it's on a constant terrorist threat. Amidst all the ethical dilemmas, you still have to process as many people as you can to be able to maintain your family. The amount of details you have to pay attention to increases day after day, and consequentially, the time you may have to spend on each person. Mistakes cost you money. Because time is short, the room for error also increases. I'm not a detail-oriented person, so I struggled hard with this game, and it was probably not for me, but the game is like this by design. The inspector is put in an impossible position to prevent a wife from reuniting with her husband, or to save his family, to support an oppressive government or revolutionary terrorists, to stand by his beliefs, or to accept bribes to maintain his family. He needs to be incredibly good at his work to be able to survive. Any mistake can doom another family or keep yours without food on the table. The struggles and ethical dilemma of the game are shown brilliantly in the official short film adaptation of the game. I highly recommend you watch it if you're interested, a link in the description. The fact that a lot of people simply couldn't manage to overcome the challenges imposed by the game reaffirms its message. We, like the inspector, are put in a difficult, unfair position, fighting against all odds to survive in a hostile environment. In the movie In Time, time is money. I always hated that phrase. Besides the fun fact that my literature professor would always do a barf gesture whenever he said it, time is money is used to exemplify a grind culture that I'm opposed to. The philosophy that if we are not making money in a given moment, we are wasting time. And that's stupid, but it might as well be true for an inspector. During the limited time of work, for him, time is money. If someone wastes too much of his time, like this guy who always comes by with fake passports, his family might go hungry. He doesn't live, he survives. Whenever the inspector is giving you instructions to make the inspections more rigorous, they are taking time and money away from him. Time is often used in media because it's associated with a powerful human emotion. Fear. Fear to be left behind, fear of being alone, fear of death, fear of change, fear of not enjoying the time we have with those we care about, fear of running out of time. Besides its meaning in professional life, time is money has a last use meaning that I actually think is interesting. In these games, the most important thing is how you spend your valuable time. We don't get to choose how much time we have, but we determine the quality of it. You simply cannot overcome the game's challenges if you don't make the best out of the time you have. In other words, it's about the value of your time. Time is your currency. What will you do with the time you have? I could have just focused on the main path in Persona 5, but I would have lost the meaningful relationships and interactions of the game, and the experience would be lesser for it. It's not the destination, it's the journey. What's the point of living if we don't get to enjoy it with the ones we care about? I could have chosen to remain in the loop in Outer Wilds or to keep on living the best day of the main character's life in 12 minutes, but I didn't. Isn't that how we deal with life? We enjoy the good moments whilst they last and overcome the bad ones when we have to. I couldn't deny the truth and live in memories. I can't play zombies all night with my friends like we used to because we and our responsibilities have changed. We can't live in the past, but I'm hopeful that someday we might re-experience fragments of those good moments. Time is money, but not because the time we are not making money is wasted. The value of a resource, like money, is often linked to their scarcity. Diamonds are valuable because not only are they beautiful and useful, but they are limited. Time is a resource and we get to choose how to spend it, but the less we have, the more valuable it becomes. As an adult, I have less time to play games, making those moments more valuable. I cannot justify wasting a lot of time grinding for something. I want more quality from those moments because I don't have as much time to spend not having fun. As time goes by, the things we play will change because we change. The time we have available will not be the same, just as that of our friends. We will have experienced more and games will affect us in different ways because of it. The value we attribute to time and the reasons why we play games will be different. If before we could game just to pass the time, now it becomes an increasingly less compelling reason. We play games to enjoy the narrative, to challenge ourselves, to relax after work, to take our mind off of things, to enjoy time together, be entertained and have fun, to have a new experience and, as with any other art form, to feel something. Some games are really special and I like to think that those few games are like small ecosystems created in a dome of glass. Amazing little habitats of organic beauty and life. Heart. The way the world of Red Dead 2 feels real with small details we don't get to see most of, but help the world feel alive. How Baldurs Gate challenges your grasp on humanity in the very journey to prevent it from being taken from you. You can feel the care and passion that was put into them. We are rarely the same at the beginning of a journey and at the end of it. Growing old is directly reflected by this concept. We spend time, and the more we spend, the less we have left. Not only the amount of time we have will change, but our perspective of it. Time turns into diamonds, precious and limited. Would we spend it differently, knowing exactly when it would run out? If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to see more like this. Thank you.